I am 43-1 with this deck in the 4-card EVO. It has perfect defense, it has perfect offense, it counters everything else in the pool, and I'm going to show you how to get free wins with it. The deck is Valkyrie, Dart Goblin, Cannon, and Goblin Barrel. The Goblin Barrel is really broken in this mode because there's no spells for it, outside of Snowball and Zap, which aren't going to directly counter it. So your opponent has to scramble to overspend, and they're almost never going to fully defend the Goblin Barrel without any damage. It very rarely happens, and even when they do, they've usually wildly overspent, and then you can go with a Goblin Barrel in the opposite lane and get like 1,000 damage. But on top of that, the defense is really good. Especially between the Valkyrie and the Cannon, you're going to be able to defend most stuff really well, and the Dart Goblin really helps just to stay alive in the back and pick stuff off, especially with Skeleton Barrels, helps a lot with that. But as you can see, whenever he puts his Goblin Giant in the back, I'm able to put a Valkyrie and a Goblin Barrel up top. It forces out a Mega Knight from him, and then we're still getting damage on the tower, but now he just has a lone Goblin Giant in one lane, he has a lone Mega Knight in the other lane, and we're able to defend all of this really easily. Times like this where you have a really big push coming at you can get pretty scary for the deck, but overall the defense is good enough to handle it. We do get a Mega Knight connection on the tower, but we have the King Tower up, we have a Cannon, and overall we're able to defend everything else pretty well, and then we have enough elixir to take care of all this. A little sloppy on taking care of the firecrackers, but it's not a big deal. And at this point, it's basically over, especially when you get that EVO Valkyrie on defense. Nothing's really breaking through. This is a pretty common start you're going to see to a lot of these games, is that they're just going in with a bunch of wall breakers first thing. And it really just allows you to get a couple of Valkyries on the field, basically for free. They'll clog up the lane if they send any more, and then you can use those to counter push if they can stay alive. We don't have a counter push on this one, but a lot of the time you're just going to come out with a bunch of Valkyries. They're down elixir, they have no damage, and there's almost no way for them to get a wall breaker connection on your tower, especially when you have cannons as well. Cannons are good as a last-ditch effort, but overall you want to avoid using them for wall breakers, because most of the time the wall breaker is just going to take out the cannon and you're going to be down one elixir. You're going to see here we need to use cannon to soak these up, but we do end up going down one elixir from that. And so especially if you're at 3 elixir and they wall breakers the bridge, if you put down a cannon, then suddenly you're down another elixir, they can wall breakers the bridge again. It's an endless cycle. But you can just see this EVO cannon, the Valkyrie, the Dart Goblins, it just makes the defense so easy here. There's really no breaking through. I've ignored the offense this game, but again, just notice how basically every time I throw a barrel at the enemy tower, they're doing damage. And these aren't outlier games where they're not defending well. Basically everyone is going to take a lot of damage from barrels, and if they aren't taking any damage from barrels, if they aren't even taking a little bit of chip, they're probably overcommitting, and then their push isn't going to be that good. There's a very few rare cases where I actually had difficulty breaking through with barrels, but the vast majority of the time it was pretty easy to get damage. I mentioned Skelly Barrel earlier. This is a really fun matchup to play. It's largely going to revolve around playing Dart Goblins to break the Skelly Barrels, and then a Valkyrie to kill all the skeletons, but you can also always use your cannons to pull them to the center and get them to break that way. Again, you're just going to see this as a theme every time, is that offense is really easy for this deck, and that defense is also really easy for this deck. It's the sort of thing, we're even going to make some mistakes in this match, some pretty big ones, and it's not really going to matter, because we're just going to take a bit of damage from our big mistakes, whereas basically any time you're playing a barrel with a tank in front of it, you're going to do some damage. You'll have some games that it's a little harder for this, but most of the time, If you're landing a barrel with a tank in front of it, you're gonna get at least one stab, if not 1,000 or so damage. And then defending is really easy. As long as you defend well, you're not going to take any damage. And even if you do make mistakes, a lot of the time you're not going to take any damage, or just a little bit, because the defense on this deck is so good. Valkyries and cannons especially just do such a good job. You're going to see here, we're making some mistakes. We had a useless Dart Goblin earlier, we're going to miss this cannon, and it really doesn't matter, because we can very easily counter this. And it might seem like one of these things where, like, of course having Valkyrie is going to counter Skelly Barrel. Having Valkyrie counters basically every win condition in this mode. Having Goblin Barrel is basically going to break through any defense in this game mode. Really, regardless of the matchup, you're going to defend them really easily and you're going to get the damage really easily. This matchup can be a little hectic though. Skelly Barrels are cheap. They can spam them easily, and if you have something like this where you let one get to the tower, it can be a ton of damage really quickly. And you don't always want to just spam cannons in the center, because you want to make sure that you have Dart Goblins and Valkyries taking care of things so that you can get these counter pushes out. You just need to know what offense your opponent has, get ready for the pushes they're going to make, and make sure that you don't overspend. Either on offense, if you're placing Dart Goblins or cannons in ways that they're just going to die and not get any value, and you need to have enough elixir to respond to whatever they're going to do. If they're going to use 2 elixir to put wall breakers on the other side, you're going to need to have 4 elixir to put a Valkyrie there to defend it. This is one of the weirdest games of Clash Royale I've played. We're going to start off pushing with a barrel because he's gone for a cannon. He does actually push the Valkyrie back, and then with the snowball he's able to full counter that with the Duchess, so that's good by him. But after we put the Valkyrie on this, you're gonna see he's just starts spamming the right side with wall breakers, which really wasn't a good idea considering I had Valkyrie, but this is a big part of why this deck is so powerful in this mode. A lot of people are running wall breakers, and all you have to do is clog up the lane with your Valkyrie, and you're going to defend them every time. And there we got a really good counter push with that Valkyrie as tank. You're going to see that a lot. We defend for cheap, the Valkyrie walks up, and then we use her to tank for our Goblin Barrel. Now, I don't know why this guy just keeps cannoning up. So I just keep putting cannons. I don't really understand why he was doing that, but if he was just gonna defend, then I was gonna do this, and then of course eventually he has to go in, but we have 6 cannons now. So the wall of cannons goes pretty interestingly. We're still gonna try and go for some barrels here, even though him cannoning really kind of just lets me build up more. But we're gonna go back to the Great Wall here. I think his cannoning is largely an attempt to defend my barrels, but you at least have to be putting stuff like Mega Knights down so that they can counter push, so that I can't just do stuff like this. But we're gonna see the triple Mega Knight here, and it's really not gonna work out for him too well. We've got like 6 cannons on him. We're placing more down. The evolved Mega Knight can't punch anything back when you play a cannon on it, which is something you're going to want to take advantage of a lot. If the Mega Knight punches a troop into your tower, it can then jump onto that troop, ignoring your buildings or whatever tanks you have placed, and then getting a full health Mega Knight on your tower, so that can be really bad. I definitely recommend putting a lot of cannons if there is a full health Mega Knight on your side of the map, but yeah, you're gonna see at this point there's a last-ditch effort to just put a bunch of wall breakers. It's not gonna work. He actually does do good there in snowballing everything back, but it's still not gonna work.